Hey everyone, welcome back to the Narcissist Exposed channel. I hope you're doing well and staying grounded on your healing journey. Today, we're diving into one of the most haunting questions that lingers after breaking free from a narcissist. Do they ever miss you? Do they ever think about you once you're gone? The answer is complex, emotional, and not what you might expect. So stay with me until the end, because understanding this truth will finally help you stop wondering what's happening inside their mind and start focusing on your peace. Let's start with a simple truth. Narcissists don't miss people the way emotionally healthy individuals do. When they say they miss someone, what they actually mean is they miss the supply, the validation, attention, and admiration that person once gave them. To them, relationships are not emotional bonds, but transactions. You were not loved. You were used to fill a void they refused to acknowledge. During the relationship, everything revolved around them, their needs, their emotions, their control. So when you finally leave, what they feel isn't heartbreak, it's withdrawal. Narcissists experience the end of a relationship like an addict losing access to their drug. It's not love they crave. It's the high of power and attention they can no longer extract from you. At first, they may act as if they don't care. You might see them laughing online, posting new pictures, or flaunting a new partner. It's all a performance, a psychological trick meant to make you believe you were replaceable. But underneath that confident exterior is panic. Because when you left, you took away the mirror that reflected their false sense of perfection. A narcissist world revolves around image, not intimacy. When the person who once adored them walks away, it creates a wound they cannot publicly show. So instead of processing the loss, they mask it with arrogance. I never needed them anyway, they'll say. But that's denial, not confidence. It's an ego trying to survive its biggest fear, rejection.
Do they think about you?
Absolutely. But not with warmth or nostalgia. They think about you strategically, what you're doing, whether you're happy, whether you've moved on. They obsess over your emotional state. Not out of care, but to measure how much power they still have over your heart. If you've gone no contact, that silence haunts them, not because they miss your voice, but because they can't control the narrative anymore. Narcissists thrive on reaction. Every message, every argument, every tear was proof of their importance. When you stop responding, they feel invisible, and to them, invisibility is emotional death. The irony is that your absence teaches them more about power than your presence ever did. For the first time, they realize they can't command your emotions. It's a terrifying moment for them. They begin to replay old memories, not to cherish them, but to analyze where they lost control. Every thought about you becomes an ego wound. Sometimes, they'll circle back, sending casual messages like, "Hey, just checking in," or "I've been thinking about you." But don't be fooled, this isn't affection, it's a test. They're checking if the door to supply is still open. If you respond, they feel powerful again. If you don't, they spiral deeper into insecurity. Psychologists call this behavior hoovering, like a vacuum. They try to suck you back in. They'll promise change, cry on cue, or act like the relationship meant everything to them. But it's not genuine remorse. It's desperation. They don't want you back. They want the feeling of control you once gave them. In rare moments of vulnerability, yes, narcissists do feel regret, but it's not the same kind of regret you feel. They regret losing access to what you provided, not losing you. Their sadness is transactional, not emotional. It's like losing a favorite possession, not a person. The reason it hurts so much to think they've moved on quickly is because you project your empathy onto them. You assume they feel what you would feel. But narcissists operate differently. Their emotional world is shallow and fragmented. They can replace partners instantly because what they seek isn't connection, it's validation. Their new relationship, if they have one, isn't proof they're happy. It's proof they can't be alone. Narcissists use new people as emotional bandages to cover the wound you left. But sooner or later, the pattern repeats, the charm fades, the control returns, and the same emotional decay sets in again. Different face, same game. Meanwhile, you, the empath, the giver, the one who truly loved, are left picking up the pieces, wondering if they ever think of you. The answer is yes, but not with empathy. They think of you as an object that used to serve them well, now out of reach. That thought frustrates them, not because of love, but because of lost control. You might notice they sometimes imitate you after the breakup. They copy your hobbies, your phrases, even your interests. This isn't flattery, it's identity theft. Without you, they lose the emotional script they once borrowed. They mirror your traits because, deep down, they have none of their own. Do they stalk your social media? Almost always. Narcissists are addicted to curiosity. They want to know if you've collapsed without them, or worse, if you're thriving. Every happy post of yours challenges their illusion of superiority. Your happiness becomes their humiliation. They might reach out indirectly, liking old photos, watching your stories, leaving subtle comments. Each move is bait. They want to see if you'll bite, if you'll still give them emotional energy. Even a small reaction, a view, a reply, a sigh, tells them they still matter in your world. Here's the truth. They'll never admit. You are their mirror of humanity. Through you, they felt warmth, care, and empathy. Emotions they can't generate on their own. Losing you means losing that reflection. So yes, they miss something. But what they miss is the feeling of being seen as good, not the act of being good. After some time, the narcissist's mind starts to twist the narrative. Instead of remembering their cruelty, they rewrite history. They convince themselves you were too emotional, too demanding, too sensitive. This mental rewriting protects their ego from guilt. In their version of the story, they're always the victim. But sometimes, when the mask slips, they feel it, the emptiness. Late at night, when the noise quiets and the new supply is asleep, they scroll through old messages, photos, or memories. It's not sentimentality, it's an echo of the power they once had. That's the only way they know how to remember love, through control. You may wonder if they ever truly realize what they lost. The answer is complicated. They realize the value of your loyalty, but not the meaning of your love. To appreciate love, you must be capable of empathy. And empathy requires humility, something a narcissist's ego will never allow. When a narcissist sees you move on, happy, glowing, peaceful, it ignites panic, not because they want you back, but because your peace proves they never had real power. You becoming whole without them is the ultimate injury to their ego. It's the one outcome they can't manipulate or undo. This is why many narcissists return months or even years later. They'll claim they've changed, that they've been reflecting, that they miss you deeply. But often, their lives are crumbling. The new supply failed, the mask is cracking, and they crave the stability you once provided. You were their emotional anchor, and now they're adrift. When they say, "I miss you," translate it properly. I miss how you made me feel important. That's the truth beneath their words. The love they speak of is conditional, rooted in need, not care. Don't mistake nostalgia for growth. Missing comfort is not the same as missing connection. Healthy people grow through loss. Narcissists recycle it. They repeat the same emotional script, using new partners to replay old roles. Each relationship is just another act in the same story, a performance to keep them from facing themselves. And no matter how many partners they collect, the ending is always the same: emptiness. You, on the other hand, have something they never will: depth. You feel pain because you loved genuinely. You grieve because you care deeply. That's not weakness, that's your humanity shining through. The very thing they mock in you is the thing they envy most. Do narcissists ever wonder if you're happier now? Yes, and that thought torments them. Seeing you at peace means you escaped the orbit they believed was inescapable. To a narcissist, your happiness without them isn't just loss, it's proof of their failure. Some may try to re-enter your life through mutual friends, sympathy, or shared memories. They might pretend to want closure or forgiveness. But remember, closure from a narcissist is just another hook. Real closure doesn't come from them. It comes from understanding that you'll never get honesty from a professional liar. Their ego won't allow true introspection. Even if they appear reflective, it's often performative. They might say, "I've learned my lesson," or "I finally understand what I did." But if they haven't developed empathy or accountability, those words mean nothing. Real change requires vulnerability, and narcissists equate vulnerability with weakness. When you stay silent, you're teaching them a lesson they'll never forget. Narcissists crave reaction more than love. So when you give them nothing, no anger, no tears, no attention, it cuts deeper than any insult ever could. Your silence becomes their punishment. In time, they'll replace you externally, but not internally. Every new person they meet is compared to you, but no one measures up, because what they truly miss isn't you. It's the version of themselves they saw reflected in your eyes. You made them feel powerful. No one else can recreate that illusion perfectly. Eventually, their obsession turns inward. They start wondering why they can't stop thinking about you, not because of emotional longing, but because losing control feels intolerable to them. They don't know how to grieve, so they intellectualize it, telling themselves you were flawed or that you didn't understand them. It's easier to blame you than admit they lost someone who genuinely cared. Sometimes they'll project their own regret onto you. You might hear, "I know you miss me," or "You'll never find someone like me again." These aren't statements of confidence. They're desperate attempts to rewrite reality. In truth, they're the ones haunted by absence, not of love, but of dominance. Your silence is louder than any argument they've ever won. When a narcissist sees you thriving, something strange happens. They become obsessed with competing against you. Even if you're not trying to prove anything, they will. They'll copy your career goals, your hobbies, even your self-improvement journey. But no matter how far they run, they're chasing a ghost. You've evolved, and they're still performing. Do they ever feel sadness? Briefly, yes, but it's self-pity, not empathy. They mourn the loss of what you gave them: attention, comfort, emotional labor. But that sadness quickly mutates into resentment. "How dare you move on? How dare you be happy without me?" Their pain isn't about missing you. It's about losing control of the script. You'll notice that after some time, their life begins to look familiar. Another relationship, another show of affection, another cycle of love and betrayal. It's not personal, it's patterned. They repeat the same behaviors with different faces, convinced they're rewriting history, yet doomed to relive it over and over. Their mind becomes a revolving door of unfinished stories. Every person they lose leaves behind fragments of unhealed shame, but instead of facing that pain, they bury it beneath more performances, more distractions. That's why narcissists are always restless. They're constantly fleeing from the mirror of self-awareness. When they think about you late at night, it's not nostalgia that burns them, it's envy. They imagine you smiling, rebuilding, loving again, and that image stings more than any insult ever could. Because for all their arrogance, they secretly fear being forgotten. Your indifference is the proof that terrifies them most. At some point, they may attempt a grand return, a tearful apology, a long message, a confession of how much they've changed. It feels dramatic, even cinematic, but it's rarely real. They're not seeking closure. They're seeking validation. They want proof that they still have access to your heart. Don't confuse performance with progress. If you give them another chance, the cycle restarts: love bombing, manipulation, discard. But this time, it feels emptier. Their tactics no longer land the same way. You've grown, and they can sense it. That's why they become cruel faster. They can't control what has already awakened. Do they ever miss you years later? Yes, but only when life gets quiet, when their next supply fails them, when admiration fades, when loneliness sets in. They'll scroll through your old messages again, but by then what they feel isn't love, it's nostalgia for a time when their mask still worked. Their ego won't let them admit it, but losing you was the moment their illusion cracked. You were the mirror that showed them who they could have been: kind, genuine, loving. But they weren't ready for that reflection. So instead, they shattered it, mistaking destruction for power. Now they live surrounded by broken glass. You might hear about them later: new partners, new chaos, same story. And part of you might wonder if they finally found peace. But peace requires self-awareness. And narcissists avoid introspection like it's poison. They don't heal. They hide. Their smiles are painted, their happiness rehearsed. What they truly miss, more than anything, is control. Control over your emotions, your reactions, your love. You were their emotional anchor, and now they drift in a sea of false admiration and shallow attention. They'll collect new faces, but none will ever recreate the power they had over your heart. That's what haunts them. Their greatest punishment is watching you become someone they can no longer reach. When they realize your peace doesn't depend on their chaos, it destabilizes their entire identity. You, the one they once belittled, are now proof that they never had real power, only borrowed attention. Sometimes they'll try to rewrite history. We could have worked things out, they'll say. But what they really mean is, I want to rewrite the ending where I lose. Narcissists hate unfinished business because it reminds them of their imperfection. You walking away without explaining everything destroys their illusion of control. It's hard to accept, but the narcissist version of missing you isn't emotional. It's mechanical. They remember your usefulness, not your essence. They recall your care when they need comfort, your empathy when they need an audience, your patience when their world starts collapsing again. But here's the beautiful irony. The very qualities they took for granted are the same ones you're now using to rebuild yourself. Your empathy becomes strength. Your forgiveness becomes wisdom. Your softness becomes selective. You're no longer their reflection. You're your own light. Do they ever truly forget you? No. They may bury your memory, but they never erase it. Every person they meet after you reminds them of what they lost but can never replicate. Genuine love. They'll search for it endlessly, but love and control cannot coexist. That's the prison they built for themselves. And while they keep repeating the same story, you start writing a new one that doesn't revolve around their chaos. You find peace in stability, joy in solitude, and strength in boundaries. You no longer wonder if they miss you. You realize the question doesn't matter anymore. You've moved on, and that's the victory. So do narcissists ever miss their exes or still think about them? Yes, but only through the distorted lens of control, ego, and regret. They don't miss your heart, they miss your reflection of theirs. But you, my friend, have something they'll never have: the ability to love honestly and heal fully. That's your freedom, and it's the one thing they'll think about forever. If this message resonated with you or helped you find peace, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. There's someone out there right now who still believes the narcissist misses them out of love, and your share might help them see the truth. Remember, your worth isn't defined by who couldn't see it. You were never too much. They were simply too empty. Keep healing, keep shining, and never forget your peace is their greatest loss.